Last time on Shadow Piece, the fight between the two similar pirates kept going. For Caribou, it was a horrible situation, feeling stuck in the spiderweb Wang Ji had created. He kept looking for solutions with his future sight, but he didn't find anything. That was until he changed his approach. "You're growing mid-fight," Wang Ji said, admiration fretting his voice. "Dangerous." Caribou slammed both of his hands onto the ground. The swamp surged upward, forming a massive rotating mass. Dense, compact, reinforced with layered haki. Not an attack, but a shield. Wang Ji's eyes widened slightly. "You're stalling." "Yeah, you got a problem with that," Caribou replied, panting. "Because now, I can see far enough." The swamp shield detonated outward, not towards Wang Ji, but everywhere else. The domain destabilized as Caribou forced too many variables at once, overwhelming even Wang Ji's preparations. Stone cracked, walls collapsed, the battlefield opened again to the sky. Both men landed on opposite sides of the ruined terrain, battered, bloodied, breathing hard. For the first time, they stood on equal grounds. Wang Ji straightened, rolling his shoulders. "You've closed the gap," he admitted. "Impressive." Caribou wiped blood from his eyes. "I don't need your praise. I know this still isn't enough." Wang Ji smiled. "Correct?" The earth beneath Caribou shifted again, subtly. Not a trap, a setup. "You've learned to see deeper," Wang Ji said softly. "But depth doesn't matter if you're still standing where I want you to be." Caribou's future sight flared, and for the first time since he had improved on it, he saw nothing at all. The ground closed. Not violently, not suddenly, it closed with intent. Stone curved upward from below Caribou's feet, folding in on itself like the jaws of some ancient beast. The pressure wasn't meant to crush him outright. It was calculated to hold, to restrict movement just enough for what came next. Caribou felt it instantly. His future sight vanished. No visions, no branching paths, no warnings. Just now. "So this is it," he muttered. Across the battlefield, Wang Ji stood with both hands resting on his hips, his feet embedded in the earth like a gravestone. His observation haki spread outward in perfect stillness, not searching, not probing, waiting. "You relied on the future for too long," Wang Ji said calmly and mockingly. "So, I simply removed it." Caribou strained against the stone restraints. Swamp seeped from his skin, trying to soften the earth, but it was useless. The stone wasn't reacting to him. It was already decided. "This island," Wang Ji continued, voice even, almost instructional, "is layered with preparations and preparations. Things that I began decades ago. Pressure lines, stress fractures, emergency constructs. You didn't walk into a battlefield, boy." He lifted his arms. "You walked into a lesson." The earth shifted again. Above Caribou, the sky darkened, not with clouds, but with mass. A floating landform, kilometers wide, rose from the island's depths, suspended by Wang Ji's will alone. Ancient stone compacted and reinforced with armament haki so dense it disordered the air around it. Caribou's breath hitched. "You're not going to drop that, right?" he asked in a concerned tone. "Yes, you got a problem with that?" Wang Ji replied, returning the favor. "And you're going to die wondering what kind of hero runs from the present to hide in the tomorrow." The landmass began to descend, slowly, inevitably. Caribou closed his eyes, and for the first time since his battle began, he stopped looking forward. He listened, not to the future, not to observation haki, but to his own heartbeat. Thump, thump, thump. The beat of his heart made him calm down for a moment. It felt like he was reaching a certain sense of freedom. "I get it now," he whispered. The swamp within his body shifted, not outward, but inward. Weapons dissolved back into formless mud. Stored tools, blades, guns, relics, everything he had stored once sank deeper and deeper into his infinite storage, compressing and condensing. Wang Ji frowned. "What are you doing now?" Caribou opened his eyes. They were clear, no hesitation in them anymore. "I've been wrong," he said. "Future sight isn't about seeing what will happen." The stone restraints trembled. "It's about understanding what must happen." His thesis from before had changed just slightly, but this small change was massive in his mind, massive for his personality, massive for his improvement. The swamp erupted, not explosively, but precisely. It flowed along fault lines Caribou had subconsciously memorized throughout the fight, soaking into micro-fractures even Wang Ji hadn't actively monitored. Caribou's haki surged, not outward, downward. "This is my answer," he said softly. "Chronicle of the Inevitable. Swamp Scripture." This title might still need some work, but it was indeed the answer that Caribou, the swamp hero, had come up with. The earth hesitated. For the first time in decades, Wang Ji's control faltered. Caribou's future sight returned, not seconds ahead, not minutes, but paths, end states, no branching, no noise, only the conclusions. His evolved ability crystallized in that moment. Advanced observation haki, not future sight, but absolute outcome perception. He didn't see how Wang Ji would attack, he saw how this fight ended. Caribou stepped forward, the stone restraints shattered, not because they were weak, but because they were irrelevant. He walked as the descending landmass accelerated, Wang Ji desperately reinforcing it with more and more haki, more mass, more will. "You can't stop this!" Wang Ji shouted, finally abandoning composure. "I know," Caribou replied. He reached Wang Ji, placed a hand on his chest, and struck, not with force, but with certainty. Hero's verdict. The impact didn't explode, it passed through. Wang Ji's body locked up as the swarm surged inside him, bypassing hardened earth, bypassing haki, attacking the structure of its power itself. His control over the floating landmass vanished instantly. The island fragment crashed into the sea behind them, sending a tidal wave across Hachinosu. Wang Ji fell to his knees. Blood poured from his mouth. "So this is the future you chose," he rasped. Caribou stood over him, trembling himself as well. "No," he said quietly. "It's the one that I stopped running away from." With a final restrained strike, Wang Ji died, defeated. Caribou fell moments later, sinking to one knee, body barely holding together, swamp leaking uncontrollably from countless injuries. He had won, but the cost was clear. The exhaustion was visible. However, regardless of the cost he had paid, of how exhausted he was, Caribou turned into a swamp puddle and ventured into the direction he sensed Katakuri, as that was also where his little brother was going. He wasn't born to be a hero, but through circumstances he couldn't avoid, he had turned into one. And this is the end of today's episode of Shadow Piece. Here you have another form of advanced observation haki that I came up with. Well, technically I want it to be in a way of maybe kind of similar like Bleach's Bankai and Shikaya. I don't know if it can work like that, but it's a personal thing. Like, the advanced observation haki is different for each and every person. It depends on their personality, their fighting style, the way they grew up and grew and trained. So I feel like this is an interesting idea for Caribou. Absolute outcome perception. It is a bit vague in the way what it means, but that's also how I'm going to use it, so that in the future you will still have more and more surprises. But for now, that's all from me for today, and all from Caribou for now. So all that's left to be said is stay happy, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay cultured. Pyro out. Bye!